Hello everyone, is my voice audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In case in between internet connection goes off, this or that happens, just don't leave the meet. Be there at the meet. Okay, and I'll join back. Okay. In case any of these things happens, be there in the meet. I can join back. Okay. So since this is very first lecture, let me introduce myself. I am Aditi Chiklikar and I will be taking data science for you. Okay. So let me just share my screen with you all. Hold on a second. And please someone let me know once you can see the window. Someone just tell me, window is visible? Okay, great. Let me just arrange my screen so that I can still admit the students who are joining late. And at the same time, I can show you the screen as well. So this is basically most of the content that I'll be covering for you guys will be from this idle book only. Do you guys have this book?
Yes.
Yes, you already have it, so there's no need for me to provide it to you separately. Okay, great. Now, basically, when you say data science, what comes to your mind? I want you guys to answer today. So, just tell me what comes to your mind. Obviously, I'm going to start with the syllabus, but data science matlab kya? Everyone is comfortable with the mixture of Hindi and English?
Yes, ma'am.
It's great.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. And in case in between, if you feel ki, you're not understanding anything or you're not getting anything, just let me know. Okay, I can slow down also, I can speed up also, I can give you extra examples also, whatever it is, just let me know. Okay? Chalo. So, what is data science? What do you mean by data science?
Study on information and data.
Okay, absolutely correct, right, perfect. What else? Research on data, okay, agreed. What else? Only this much? Statistical study of data, agreed. What else? Okay. Yeah. So I'll just try to explain you what data science basically is. What happens, is कि earlier the problem was availability of the data. Data collection में ही बहुत time जाता था. Today the problem is not the availability of the data, but the problem is accessing the knowledge or the information from the data, and that is where data science comes into picture. Today we have huge amount of data with us, and we have to figure out how can we process it. Okay. Now, why do you want to process data? Why do you want to do anything with the data? The answer is very simple. मुझे उस data से कुछ insights चाहिए. Now, what do you mean by insights? Let us take a very simple example. Let's say Hello? Yeah?
I'm insights been report, ma'am.
Yes, reports. But what do you mean by reports? Reports में कुछ तो होना चाहिए ना? What will be there in reports?
Output or result of which we want printed in a topic.
Correct. Yes. See, suppose let's say that I am owning a shop. Okay, let's say I am owning a simple grocery shop. and I want to figure out what is the buying pattern of my customers. So मेरे पास उनका परचेज का डेटा ऑलरेडी होगा मेरे बिलिंग सिस्टम में. I will use that data to find out what is the buying pattern of a particular customer, ताकि मुझे पता चले कि मुझे targeted marketing कैसे करना है. Are you getting my point? Now,
Yes.
A very simple example I'll give you. Whenever you go on Amazon or whenever you go on Myntra or any of the shopping sites for that matter, you have a section there which says recommended products. Now, how does Amazon or Myntra or Flipkart for that matter understand that ki this person might buy these products? How does Myntra understand that, or how does Amazon understand that? What they do is they do something which is called as customer profiling. They understand you as a person, they find out who is similar to you, and then they try and recommend you the similar things. वैसे targeted offers भी होते हैं. Means for example, someone who goes out and eats a lot and pays lot of credit card or uses lot of credit card during payments of hotel bills or restaurant bills, automatically the companies they understand कि okay, this is the person जिसको offers अगर देने हैं तो food related offers देने हैं. Someone who shops lot at Crosswords or some bookstores, उसको जो offers देने हैं वो book related होंगे. So what they are basically doing is they are using the data to understand you. In short, the data is used to understand the situation, gain knowledge from the situation, and use that knowledge for certain decision making. Are you guys getting my point?
Yes.
So just summarizing the data, calculating the average, calculating the minimum value, maximum value is no longer our aim. Our aim is to go beyond that and to get some kind of insight, some kind of knowledge from the data which will help us in decision making. The decision can be anything. The decision can be deciding a marketing campaign. A decision can be deciding which are the best offers for which customers. The decision can be identification of a problem. For example, एक कंपनी है जिसको पता चल रहा है कि उनका प्रोडक्शन जो है ना वो दिन ब दिन कम होते जा रहा है. So the factory is same, the employees are same, the raw material is same, everything is same, but their production somehow is decreasing. So now they want to figure out why their production is decreasing. They can use data science there. Okay, so your data science usually starts with a question that you are trying to answer. Am I very clear on this aspect? Have you understood this?
Yes.
Yes. Now, when I asked you this question, someone said the word statistics, right? You have to understand that data science is not a standalone field. Data science is not a field, which has its own methods, own algorithms, everything on its own. उसका खुद का सब कुछ है. ऐसा नहीं है data science का. तो data science में है क्या? हम लोग, in next 16 hours, what are we going to study in data science? Basically, what we are going to study is data science is a amalgamation. Amalgamation means it's a collection. Okay, a group kind of thing of multiple fields. So उसमें statistics भी आता है, your algorithms are also there, your data structures are also there, your machine learning is also there, your AI is also there, your computer science is also there, your mathematics is also there, your research methods are also there. Are you getting what I'm trying to tell you? So data science is not a standalone field. It is a field which includes the concept and the knowledge from multiple fields. So when you study data science, somewhere we will learn something about databases also. We will learn something about data warehousing also. We may learn something about algorithms also. We may suddenly think about quality also. So we are going to work in multiple fields when we are working in data science. Another important thing that you should note, rather you should think about when you are working in data science is, data science is an applied field. You are not merely working in IT or in computer science or in data science, rather you are applying your data science knowledge to someone else's problem. So if that problem is from XYZ domain, you should have some understanding of that XYZ domain. Now it is not possible that, if I am from IT field, if I know data science and I am applying data science algorithms in medical field, okay, can I possess a knowledge of a doctor just because I am applying data science in the medical field?
No, ma'am.
Not possible. So you have to work very closely with your customers or your users whose field will be different from yours, because they will be non-technical people. You're working with architects, you're working with interior designers, you're working with company owners, you're working with someone who is working in fashion industry, you're working with someone who is into manufacturing industry but it is manufacturing of cars. Then you may be working with someone who is into manufacturing industry but it is manufacturing of FMCG products. You guys are getting my point? Are you getting some grasp of what is data science? Yes? Okay. Now, moving ahead, we will come to your syllabus. So as you know, your syllabus is divided into how many units?
8.
Yes?
5 units.
5 units. Okay. So your unit number 1 has just a minute. Has someone dropped some message? Okay, voice lag हो रहा है. Anyone else is facing this problem?
No, ma'am.
No. So Nikhil, can you just check your connection once?
All.
Okay. So Nikhil, just check your connection once, because at least as of now my connection is good enough. Still, if you are facing any voice problem, please let me know. Okay? Yeah. So this is your unit number 1. Okay? It has 4 chapters in it. Then in your unit number 2, you are having 2 chapters. Unit 3, you have 1 chapter. Unit 4, you have again 2 chapters. And Unit 5, you have 2 chapters. Okay? Now, whatever you see over here, like, 3 management layers, retrieve super step, assess super step, process super step, transform super step, then organize and report super step. All these keywords that you are able to see over here are the keywords that we are going to target right in the first concept of our chapter. Okay, so I am not going to explain you the complete flow of the syllabus right now, but believe me, when I by the time I finish the first section of the first chapter, you will automatically get an idea about the complete syllabus. Okay, everyone with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the first topic that we are going to deal with, okay, what I gave you till now was just an introduction of what is data science, or what is the application area of data science basically. So it was just to get you up to an level. Okay, now we are technically starting with the first topic. So Rapid Information Factory, RIF ecosystem. Okay, now Rapid Information Factory system is basically a technique and the tool which is used for processing the data in the development. Now, you have to understand that when you are working with data science, many a times you will come across the terms like parallel processing, distributed processing. So what do you mean by these terms? And do you really think there's a necessity of using these terms when we are working with data science? Anyone? Any guesses? You guys can answer in chat box also. My chat box is open, so you can answer in chat box as well. So, see, basically what happens, is the kind of volume of data that we are dealing with, okay, is huge. And if you are dealing with huge data, it is not possible to think or to assume that all the data is going to be on a single machine, or there will be a single server who will process all the data. It is extremely wrong to assume that when we are assuming that our data is going to be huge. If your data is going to be huge, you have to use concepts of parallel data processing. You have to use concepts of distributed processing. Are you getting it? Now, what is distributed processing? When you're dividing your data, or rather your data is stored in multiple systems. Let us take a simple example. Every one of us here has a Google account. Yes?
Yeah.
And you guys also must be using Google Drive.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that every one of our data is stored on one single machine in Google's office or Google's data center? No.
No, ma'am.
Correct? Some of my data is stored on one system. Some of the data will be stored on another system. That is, multiple systems are used for storing the data. You agree on what I am trying to tell you? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, perfect. Now, what do you mean by parallel data processing? Let's take a very quick example. Let's say that I have around 2 lakh records to process. How many records do I have?
2 lakh.
2 lakh records to process. Okay. Now, if I make a single system process these many records, don't you think it will take lots and lots of time? Obviously, yes. Right? So what can I do? I can divide my data into multiple chunks. I'll divide my data into multiple chunks or multiple parts, whatever you want to call it, okay? And I will say that each chunk is simultaneously processed. Now, when each chunk of data is simultaneously processed, automatically वो ड्यूरेशन जो होता है प्रोसेसिंग को, जो लगता है ड्यूरेशन, वो कम हो जाता है. द ड्यूरेशन reduces. Are you getting it? And that's the reason when the data size is huge, the size of your data sets is huge, many times we use algorithms, we use tools that allow us to parallelly process the things. Any doubt till now?
No.
Okay, perfect. Can I go ahead? Everyone is comfortable?
Yes.
There are around 25 students over here. Everyone, are you understanding? Am I going fast?
Yeah.
No.
No? This is okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you have something which is called as Rapid Information Factory platform supports 5 high-level layers. Okay. Now, functional layer is a core processing capability of the factory. Now, what do I have inside the functional layer? ठीक है, functional layer में core processing है. Okay, understood. But core processing में हो क्या रहा है? What is happening in that core processing? There is something which is called as RAPTOR framework. Okay, you will remember this word as it is, because when the question comes And if this short form comes in the question, you should, it should click to you, okay, this is something that we have studied and this is the answer for the question. Okay, because many times, students do this answer because this answer is one of the most important answers, but they forget the short form. And then they think कि अरे ये तो topic हम लोग ने किया ही नहीं है, वैसे नहीं होना चाहिए. Okay, so just be careful about what is the title, what are the alternative titles for a particular thing. So study accordingly. Okay, chalo. Back to RAPTOR framework. Okay, let us first understand what each of these letters stands for. Okay, the first R stands for retrieve. The A stands for assess. The P stands for process. T stands for transform. O stands for organize. And R stands for report. Okay. Now, we are calling each of this as a super step because your entire data science process revolves around these 6 super steps. So if anyone is asking you what are the 6 super steps in data science, this should be your answer. Okay, what are the 6 super steps? The first one is retrieve super step. The second one is assess. The third one is process. The fourth one is transform. The fifth one is organize. The sixth one is report. Okay. Now I take you back to your syllabus. Do you recollect what I told you just 5 minutes back? Each of this super step is a chapter for us. Each of these super steps is a chapter for us. So automatically when I give you a small introduction of what happens in each of these super steps, you will automatically understand what we are going to do in each of these chapters in detail later on. Okay, everyone is with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Since this is the very first lecture, I'll be asking you 10 times, are you with me? Are you understanding? Next lecture onwards, you should be so comfortable enough ki even without me asking you, you should tell me ki ma'am, okay, we are clear till here, or this is a topic that we are not able to understand. Okay, you can freely tell me ki ma'am, ye topic nahi samjha, or I should repeat some content again. You can do that. Okay, the main aim is you guys should understand the concept. Fine? Okay. So let us concentrate on the super steps now. सबसे पहला super step है retrieve super step. Okay. Now retrieve super step supports the interaction between the external data sources and the factory. What do you mean by external data sources and the factory? Factory is, your side. I'm considering ourselves as data scientists now. Okay, you are someone who are going to work with the data to find out some insights, some knowledge from the data. Correct? So that is our job. So we are on the side of factory. That is, we are going to process the data. Now there's an external world. External world, we have data. So we are supposed to collect data from multiple places. So one you have to understand is you are collecting data not from one source, but rather you have multiple sources to collect the data. Correct? And the first step, where the data is going to come inside your factory, it is going to come inside your ecosystem, is through the retrieve super step. The very first thing you do is you get the data inside. Okay, now when you are getting the data inside, you have to understand 2 factors which are involved. One, you are getting the data from multiple sources. So you don't have a single source. You are getting the data from multiple sources. And the data that you are getting inside will be heterogeneous data. it may not be always homogeneous data. Now, what do you mean by homogeneous and heterogeneous? If the data is all of same type, then it is called as homogeneous data. Okay? अगर एक ही type का data है, then we call it as homogeneous. अगर multiple types का data है, then it is called as heterogeneous. So some data you may get as an Excel file. Some data you may get as text files. Some data you may get as .csv files. Some data you may get as images. Correct? So earlier whenever you worked with a database or you created database or you queried database, you always worked with something that we call as structured data. When you talk of data science, you have to consider the fact that you may not be working with structured data every time. You will have to work with semi-structured data and unstructured data as well. Okay? Now, that is about retrieve. I'm just explaining you each super step in short, because as you all know, we have chapters on these super steps. So wherein, when those chapters come up, we are going to discuss these super steps in detail. Okay? Now, the next super step that I have is assess. I want you to go back to, to your BSc or to your graduation days, and you must have heard something which is called as garbage in, garbage out. Garbage in, garbage out typically tells you that if your input is wrong, your output can not be correct. आपका algorithm कितना भी अच्छा होने दो, आपका program कितना भी अच्छा लिखा होने दो, but अगर input अच्छा नहीं है तो output अच्छा नहीं होगा. Now, whenever you are retrieving the data from multiple sources, you first have to check whether that data is complete, that data is accurate, that data is comprehensive, the data is from the time period which you are working with. I'll give you a simple example. I want to build the network of roads in a village or in a city or between two cities. Okay? And I use the data which is 30 years back to decide कहाँ से कहाँ roads बनाने हैं. Do you think my analysis will be correct? No. अगर मुझे अभी roads बनाने हैं, if I want to make roads in 2023, I have to use the data which is recent, right? I cannot use the data 30 years back. You have to ensure that your data is correct. You have to ensure that your data is comprehensive. अभी comprehensive मतलब क्या? I'll give you a very simple example. Your data should include everything very properly. The sample that you are having, the data that you are having should be an adequate sample. Now, what do I mean by adequate sample? You will learn this in RIC also, so I am explaining it to you in very short over here. Suppose I want to find out how many people in India are suffering from heart disease. So what I do is I do a survey. Okay, and I do a survey in the society where majority of the people are senior citizens. And I find that, in every other house there is a heart disease. So I come to a conclusion that 50% of Indian population has heart disease. Do you think my conclusion was correct? The answer is obviously no. Why no? Because my sample was not comprehensive. The majority of my sample was senior citizens. And I cannot apply those results to the complete Indian population, because Indian population is not majorly senior citizens. You are understanding, the composition of Indian population is different. So you have to check whether your data is correct or no. In short, you are talking about your data quality. So in assess super steps, you work on two things. One, you check whether your data is of good quality or no. And second, you try and improve the quality, you try and find the errors, and not only find but try and correct those errors wherever possible. and only then you go ahead. So in the first step, you get the data inside. In the second step, you assess the data, you check, and you have a cleanup facility. Cleanup facility means what? Try and correct the things that you can correct. Data अगर एक format में नहीं है तो try and get it into a format. Okay. Now the next thing is, in process super step, you convert that data into the data vault. Now I am asking you some question. How many of you are aware of the terms which is called as data lake, data vault, data warehouse या data mart? Are you aware? How many of you are aware? Just raise your hands if you are aware. Okay, great. Yes. Okay, fine. Now, in process super step, we go from our data lake to a data vault. Now, for those of who do not know, I am explaining you the concept of data lake quite in short over here. Okay, we will be going into the concept of data lake in detail later on, but just for introductory purpose, whatever raw data that you have, okay, you are collecting data from multiple sources. Whatever raw data you have, you get that data inside your system, and you just store that data in a in a place which we are calling as data lake. And in process super step, what we do is we convert that data lake into a data vault. Okay. Now this data vault is made up of three things. What are those three things? They are called as hubs, links, and satellites. Now what is a hub, what is a link, and what is a satellite? We will come to it in some time. Okay. Now once we have a data vault, we go to the next super step, that is transform super step. In transform super step, what we do is we convert our data vault into a data warehouse. We convert our data vault into a data warehouse. Okay. And in the organize super step, we subdivide our data warehouse into specific data marts. So, are you understanding? Retrieve, we are getting the data inside. Assess, we are cleaning up our data. Process, we are converting the data lake into data vault. Transform, data vault से data warehouse बन रहा है. Organize में data warehouse से data marts बन रहा है. And finally we have something that is called as report super step. What do you mean by report super step? You can see something which is called as visualization. Now, in case you remember, I told you that whenever we are working with data science, your clients are going to be non-technical people. Your users, your final customers are going to be non-technical people. Do you think whatever technical results you have received, okay, can you show them those results as it is? And will they understand the results? The answer is no. You have to show them the results in such a way that they will understand it. Okay, so maybe it is as simple as drawing a bar graph or drawing a pie chart, or you need to figure out one way or the other to show them the results in the language, in the format that they understand. You're getting it? You have to convert from the technical terms to the business terms, right? Any doubt till now? Did you understand a brief outline of all the 6 super steps? Obviously, I haven't focused on what is data warehouse, what is data mart, or what is data vault in detail. because eventually as we proceed with the syllabus, we are going to do this in detail. Okay? Everyone is with me? Anyone, any doubt, anything you want me to repeat, anything you want me to re-emphasize on? Okay.
No,
Yes. Now, this was about, functional layer. The next thing that I have is something which is called as operational management layer. The next thing is audit, balance and control layer. Then we have utility layer. Now, what do you mean by operational management layer? Anyone? Any idea? Nikhil, what do you want to ask? Are you asking about recording of the lecture? I'll see if it can be provided. Okay? As of now, I'm using Google Meet, so via Google Meet the recording is not done, but I'll see if I can provide you with the recording. Okay? But I would prefer that you attend the lectures and you listen to what I'm teaching live. Okay, so let us talk about operational management layer. Okay, now in operational management layer, what we have basically is, we have something that we call as processing stream definitions, or we have something that is called as scheduling, we have something that is called as monitoring, we have something that is called as communication or alerting. Okay, now what are all these concepts? Let us understand them. Yes, you want to ask something?
Yes, ma'am. Operational management layer comes in business model.
Yes.
बिजनेस मॉडल मतलब क्या?
Okay. See, basically operational management layer में क्या क्या होता है? The keywords that I just now told you, whether it is processing stream definition or monitoring or communicating or scheduling. Okay, all these terms I'll be explaining to you one by one, so just hold on, and then if you still have not understood, you can ask me again, I'll re-explain it. Okay. So when I talk of processing stream definitions and management, we are basically, thinking about describing the workflow of the scripts. कि इसके बाद ये करना है, उसके बाद वो करना है. These are the 5 things that I'm supposed to do to achieve this result. Okay, every time your result is different, your 5 steps will be different. Or sometimes you will have 7 steps, sometimes you will have 8 steps, ऐसे. But you're deciding the scripts. The next thing when I talk of is the parameters. What do you mean by parameters? You're running an algorithm, but you're supposed to provide it some parameters, some data. So where are you storing your parameters? Many times the parameters are stored in a text file, many times the parameters are stored in a database file. Okay. The next comes scheduling. What do you mean by scheduling? Anyone? No one?
Any meet, like
I didn't. Yes. See, you're going to have multiple tasks which are running, correct? And every task is going to run at its own pace. There are certain tasks which are having dependencies in them, so unless and until task A is completed, task B cannot start, or unless and until task C is not completed till the midpoint, task C cannot start. Okay, ऐसे जब होता है, then you need a proper scheduling to be done, कि how what is going to be executed and in what way it is going to be executed. Understanding? And then we have obviously what we call as monitoring, communicating and alerting. We have planned something, so I have to keep on monitoring whether the things are going as per plan or no. I have to ensure that the communication is happening properly in different areas. And the last thing is alerting. If you find कि a particular thing is not correct, a issue is occurring, then you have to alert a particular person, or you have to make sure that the correct things are communicated to the correct place at correct time and to the correct person. Okay. The next layer that I have is audit, balance and control layer. What basically happens in audit, balance and control layer is we try and what I can say, you have to understand that audit is something that happens on routine basis. What do you mean by audit is something that happens on routine basis? Ki yes, sorry, I did not get you.
Checking the report daily basis and maintaining.
Yes, absolutely correct. कि कि डे टू डे वर्किंग कैसे चालू है, ये आपको देखना है बेसिकली ऑडिट लेयर में. ओके, सो ऑडिट इज नॉट समथिंग दैट इज डन व्हेन थिंग्स गो रॉन्ग. नो, audit is something that will be done even when you are normally working. Okay, so whether the algorithms are running properly or no, sometimes we say ना we are logging certain activity logs होता है या audit trail generate करते हैं उस हिसाब से. Now when I think of balance, what do you mean by balance? Workload balancing. I just now told you when I was teaching you about distributed and parallel processing, I was talking about कि we are not going to rely on a single machine to process everything. We are going to we are going to divide up our task, right? We are going to perform something that is parallel processing. We are going to use multiple machines in a cluster. So that time workload balancing also comes into picture, and that is what we are doing in balance. Okay, and control में क्या? Whatever current process is getting executed, you are supposed to control it properly. Control ensures that in case there is an error, the recovery is happening properly or no. Certain activities are getting executed as per the predefined time or no. Okay, so all these things, they come in it. Now we go to the next layer that is called as utility layer. Now as you can see, there are multiple types of utilities. What are utilities? Utilities are small programs which are repeatedly necessary. Like for example, there is a utility which will be responsible for taking backup. There is a utility that will be responsible for cleaning the data. There is a utility that will be responsible for performing XYZ task. There is a utility that will be responsible for retrieving a data from somewhere. So there are different types of utilities which are available. There may be a utility which will remove the extra spaces from front and back of the data. There will be a utility which will remove unwanted characters from the data. So utilities are basically small programs that will help you do a thing. Now basically you will ask me कि मैम ये सारे utilities क्यों, मतलब आपको जो भी करना है वो आप कर लो ना. Why are you taking the term called as utilities? you have to understand that when you are working in data science, these utilities will be used repeatedly. So rather than everyone developing their own utilities, all these common utilities, they are packed together and they are properly maintained in one layer. And that layer is what we call as utility layer. So anyone who needs the utility comes to that layer, takes the utility, executes it, so that there is a consistency and there is some sort of standardization that can be achieved. Am I very clear on this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we go to the business layer, and in business layer we have two important concepts called as functional and non-functional requirements. You have to understand that when I say that XYZ thing should happen, has anyone raised their hand? Anyone has any doubt? No? Okay. See, when I'm talking of functional requirements, I'll give you a very simple example which you all must have, you all must have done in your TY projects. Login page. So only when correct username and password is entered, the user is able to log in into the system. This is a functional requirement. Okay? But the system should respond to the query quickly is a non-functional requirement. But is this a correct non-functional requirement? The answer is no. This is not a correct non-functional requirement. The question is, what is wrong in this? What did I say? I should get the answer quickly, right? What do you mean by quickly? The meaning of quickly can be different. Yes?
Yes.
I'm giving you a very layman wala example. This is a complete non-technical example, but this will help you understand that these words that we use, user-friendly, quickly, fast, easy, simple, readily, all these words, they are very subjective. Okay? For example, you are in the house and your father tells you, go and quickly make tea. Okay? So your father is expecting you to make tea. How much time do you think making tea will take you? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, max to max, right? So quickly for making tea is 5 to 10 minutes, right? But on other hand, your father tells you that, go to a shop, okay, and get me these monthly groceries. So again your father tells you a same statement, quickly go to the shop and get me these monthly groceries. Will you come back at 10th minute?
No, ma'am.
Obviously no. You will take at least half an hour. No, you will go to the shop, you will select the groceries, then you will stand in the queue, you will get the bill done, and then you will come home. But half an hour is a reasonable time for that. So in one case your quickly is 5 to 10 minutes and in other case quickly is half an hour. Don't you think that word quickly is very subjective? And whenever we are writing business requirements, we have to take care that the requirements are not written in a subjective manner. See, user friendly, whenever I say, the system should be user friendly has so many meanings. Have you guys used Turbo C++? Yeah, Turbo C?
Yes, ma'am. College time.
Yes, you have used, right? Easy to use, fairly easy, right?
Yes, ma'am.
If I give it to my father, who is a teacher, okay, and an English teacher, do you think he will be able to use Turbo C++?
No.
For me and for you, Turbo C++ is user friendly. It is the simplest software that we use. Correct? FY वालों को भी Turbo C++ use करना आता है. But my father, who is PhD in his subject, cannot use Turbo C++. So is Turbo C++ user friendly or not user friendly?
It is subjective.
It is subjective. Are you realizing what do I mean by subjective? So I have to define कि ये अगर prior knowledge उस बंदे को है, then that person can use the software. Similarly, I say कि the result must be calculated accurately. Accuracy for us is different. Whenever I give you any sum, I'll ask you to calculate up till 2 decimal places or 4 decimal places, and I'll be happy with that. Okay? But you're working on some, a very big project where numbers and everything are very crucial. Us वक्त 4 decimal places may not be enough. You may have to go up till 8 decimal places. You may have to go up till 10 decimal places, right? So, in one case, accuracy up till 2 decimal places is more than enough, and in other case, you need accuracy up till 8 or 10 decimal places. So, a point to remember whenever you are writing requirements is that your requirements must be clear. Your requirements should not have any ambiguity in them. Your requirements should not be subjective. They should be specified quantitatively, properly. Okay, rather than saying that the report should be generated quickly, it should say that the report should be generated in so and so time frame if the number of records are so and so. Because if number of records in that report are more, the report generation will take time. So you have to take that volume of work also into picture. Everyone with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubt? Any doubt? I'm about to jump to another important concept. We are done with the first important concept, and I'm going to jump to a second important concept of this chapter. Any doubt, guys?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now we are going to study something that is called as data science storage tools. Now, data science ecosystem has a bunch of series of tools which are used to build your solution. And when I'm using these set of tools and techniques, I will be able to generate the information in a fashion that will help me make the decisions. Okay? Now, whenever I talk about storage, I have two options which are there with me, and the options are schema on write ecosystem, and the second one is schema on read ecosystem. Now, before I go with either of the two, that is schema on read or schema on write, I want you to tell me one thing. What is schema?
Systematic way to write the data.
Sorry, I did not hear you. Can you repeat your answer?
A systematic way to write the database or to data in the database.
Absolutely correct. Yes. Anyone else has any other answer?
To create a structure of the database.
Correct. Agreed. Anyone else?
A user can be referred as a schema.
No, not every time. Any other answer? Okay. Now, whenever I say schema, what should come to your mind is the structure, the set of rules. Okay, I'll give you a very basic definition of a schema, not very technically correct. Okay, not very technically correct means it is correct, but it is not in very technical terms. you write a create table query, correct? That create table query is used to create the schema of your table. Ki what is going to be your primary key column, which of the columns are going to be not null, which of the columns will allow what kind of data. Okay, so basically you're deciding the structure, you're having some set of rules according to which the data will be stored in your system. Everyone with me? Yes? And every time we are not storing users data, no? Users information we are not storing every time. We may be storing some other information also, and that's the reason I say ki not every time it is related to user. Okay, I hope you have got my point.
Yes.
Yes. So basically schema on write and schema on read, ये वर्ड्स सुनने के बाद या ये वर्ड्स पढ़ने के बाद आपके दिमाग में क्या आता है? Write means writing, read means reading.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you must be thinking ki what I'm talking about, ki I'm explaining you the meaning of read and write, but just bear with me for 2 minutes, you will understand what I'm talking about. Okay, I just want to emphasize the fact that I'm referring to the normal English meaning of read and write. Okay, writing means noting down something, reading means reading the data. So when I say insert into, I am using write, and when I say select asterisk from, I am using read. Everyone with me till now with the meaning of read and write?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you think schema is necessary?
Yes, ma'am, necessary to create structured database with the help of schema.
Yes, absolutely correct. Schema is necessary. Agreed. Now, if schema is necessary, schema कब apply करना है? I am going to apply schema when I am inserting the records into the database, or I am going to apply schema when I am reading the records from the database. That decides the schema on read ecosystem and schema on write ecosystem. Okay. When is the schema applied? Is the schema applied when you are writing something, or is the schema applied when you are reading something? Okay. Now, we will first see what is schema on write. We will discuss the advantages and disadvantages of it, and then we will go to the schema on read. Okay. Now, traditionally, whatever RDBMS systems we are using, that is relational database management systems, in all of these systems, I'm just asking you this question, see if you can answer it in your mind. What do you do first? You create the table first, or you insert the records first?
First we will create a table.
So पहले schema आता है, फिर data अंदर जाता है. I hope everyone is comfortable with the mixture of Hindi and English. Anyone who does not understand Hindi?
Comfortable.
मतलब ऐसा कोई है तो प्लीज बोल दो मुझे, so that I can go complete English. I don't have problem in going complete English also. Okay? चलो. So basically you're first creating a blueprint, and then you're inserting the data into that table. Correct? So basically first the logic, the structure, the design is getting ready, and only when the design is getting ready, then the data is inserted into the table. Okay. Now, whenever I am reading the data from the table, I have to use typical query languages, like SQL, and I use SQL language to write the queries and to retrieve the records from the table. Okay. Now, once the schema is described, a point of view is decided, right? And now, later on, if I think I want to change this point of view, then I will probably have to create another table, or I can modify the table, but whatever is the previous data that has been collected and that has been stored, that cannot be modified as such. कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैंने स्टोर करते वक्त डायरेक्टली टोटल मार्क्स स्टोर किया. क्या स्टोर किया? टोटल मार्क्स. मैंने सब्जेक्ट वाइज मार्क्स स्टोर ही नहीं किया. एंड सडनली टुमारो यू नो आई फील दैट कि अरे मुझे सब्जेक्ट वाइज मार्क्स चाहिए. कैन आई गेट सब्जेक्ट वाइज मार्क्स? नो, बिकॉज आई हैवंट स्टोर्ड दैट, राइट. मैंने डायरेक्टली टोटल एंड ग्रेड स्टोर किया था. सो आई कैन गिव यू टोटल एंड ग्रेड, but I cannot give you subject wise marks. So modifying that view becomes difficult. You know, you can modify that view, not that you cannot add columns. You can add columns, but what about the data that is already there? I did not store subject wise marks first. So maybe आपके बैच के लिए मेरे पास सब्जेक्ट वाइज मार्क्स नहीं होंगे. आपके बैच के बाद फिर मैंने सब्जेक्ट वाइज मार्क्स स्टोर करना स्टार्ट किया. So what happens when you are working with schema on write is a particular point of view is already described, and now if I have to change the point of view, it becomes very difficult. Okay, another thing that happens is whenever a set of raw data is available and I'm putting some of that data into the database, because only the entire raw data does not go into the table, correct? I am being selective. I am applying schema. So schema के अंदर जितना data fit होता है उतना ही मेरे database के अंदर जाता है. The rest of the data I throw away. Yes. So that data is lost now, and in future if you require that data you don't have it now. So ऐसे जो databases होते हैं जो schema on write पे based होते हैं, उनमें future analysis करना difficult हो जाता है. Are you getting it? उनका पॉजिटिव पॉइंट क्या है? बिकॉज द स्कीमा इज ऑलरेडी अप्लाइड, बिकॉज द डेटा इज वेरी स्ट्रक्चर्ड, रिट्राइविंग द डेटा इज वेरी फास्ट. एक क्वेरी रन किया, डेटा मिल गया, बट डेटा लाने के लिए सिस्टम में टाइम लगता है. बिकॉज आपको पहले तो डेटा पता होना चाहिए, फिर आप स्कीमा बनाओगे, फिर वो डेटा लोड करोगे उस स्कीमा में, एंड फिर उसको क्वेरी करोगे. सो ये जो प्रिपरेशन टाइम होता है ये बहुत ज़्यादा होता है स्कीमा ऑन राइट में. अंडरस्टूड? नाउ I'll just ask you something. If you know what your data is going to be, it is very easy to create a schema and then load the data and then use the data. What if I don't know what data I am collecting? I don't know the structure of that data. I haven't studied that data पहले से. Because when you are collecting data from multiple sources, there's a possibility of this, right? कि you don't know what the data is. You have not studied that data properly. And you don't even know which of that data you are going to use later on. You may use something, you may not use something. शायद से आज वो नेसेसरी नहीं है, बट कल वो नेसेसरी होगा. सो इन दैट केस schema on read is very useful. What does schema on read say? Schema on read is also simple. It says that you do not apply the schema when you are loading the data into the database. You just load the raw data as it is. Okay? You just load the data as it is. And then when you are in the query phase, when you are reading the data, okay, then you apply the schema. Everyone with me? So schema data insert के वक्त नहीं चाहिए मुझे, schema data read के वक्त चाहिए. So when I am writing a select asterisk from query, that time the schema will be applied. Understanding? Okay. Anyone who has difficulty in understanding this? Okay. Now when I say that it is schema on read, it gives you freedom to just get the data into the system. So whether you are having experimental or exploration of the data, these type of ecosystems are best used ecosystems in this case, because you are just trying and exploring the data. Schema on read will help you to generate fresh and new data and increase the speed of data generation, as well as reduce the cycle time of data availability of actionable information. Now what does this mean basically? This single line, this single statement has 2-3 important points. Let us look at them. Whenever you have raw information, the raw data is already there with you. You can have multiple views of it. आपको ऐसा चाहिए ऐसा मिलेगा, वैसा चाहिए वैसा मिलेगा. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई नीड द मार्क्स ऑफ ओनली 2 सब्जेक्ट्स. आई कैन हैव इट बिकॉज मेरे पास रॉ डेटा है ना. आई हैवंट थ्रोन अवे एनीथिंग. आई हैव द रॉ डेटा इन प्लेस. However way I want to query it, I can query it. And what happens is, you're not creating the schema first and then inputting the values. So raw data, you take it inside. So what happens is, the cycle time for data availability of actionable information, it reduces. Because as soon as raw data comes, you can start retrieving from it. Are you able to understand it? Another important advantage of this is, you can work with structured, semi-structured or unstructured data. Okay? Can you guys give me an example of semi-structured data? Structured तो सबको पता है, tables वगैरह होता है. Unstructured is like your, maybe your image files, your binary data. Any example of semi-structured? XML is a classic example of semi-structured. XML you must be knowing, right? Extensible Markup Language. That is an excellent example of semi-structured data. Understood? You guys are with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what happens is, the cycle time of data availability is less. Agreed, because initial processing में जो time जाता है वो यहाँ पे नहीं जाता है. But query execution किसका fast है? Schema on read का या schema on write का? The query execution is faster in schema on write. Because the structure is already in place, you just have to execute the query. Okay? Here in schema on read, you first have to apply some structure and then you have to read the data. Correct? So the data retrieval is not that fast. Okay? The data retrieval is not that fast. Clear? Now the question is, both the approaches, whether it is schema on read or schema on write, has their own advantage and disadvantages. Which one is best? Should I go with schema on read or should I go with schema on write?
And both categories can be used. The need, according to the need, ma'am.
Yes. Whether schema on write is appropriate for you or if schema on read is appropriate for you depends on your use case. If the data that you are working with is structured and you are happy with one single view of the data, then you will always go with schema on write. But the data that you are working with comes from heterogeneous sources, it comes from different external sources. And you are not aware about the structure of the data first, and you need to have a flexibility of having multiple views. Then you obviously go with schema on read. Am I clear on this?
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone, any doubt? Are you guys understanding? Are you guys there in the meet? Are you guys actively listening?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Are you guys comfortable with the way that I'm teaching you?
Yes.
Comfortable.
Okay, good. Now, the next concept that I'm jumping to is the concept of data lake. Remember, I just told you that I'm not talking about data lake right now. I'll talk about data lake in little bit later on. So this is where we are covering the concept of data lake. What is a data lake? Data lake is a storage repository. What is repository? Repository is basically any place where we are storing something. So what are we storing? First of all, we are storing huge data. So we are storing large amount of data. But are we storing process data? No. We are storing which data? We are storing raw data. Now when I say that I am storing raw data, it means you can either have structured data, you can have semi-structured data, or you can have unstructured data. Okay? And there is no limit to how much will you store in the data lake. Okay? You can store any type of data, and there's no fixed amount of limit and storage to store the data. Okay? Now, whenever I am talking about a data lake, and when I think about just the two concepts that we have studied just now, that is schema on write and schema on read, which concept do you think I should apply for data lake? Schema on read I should apply, or schema on write I should apply?
Schema on read.
Why schema on read? What makes you think that?
Because they are data structure, not semi-structure and unstructured.
Okay, one point is absolutely correct. This point is absolutely correct. Anyone else, can you come up with a second part of the point?
There are lots of raw data.
Absolutely correct. These are the two reasons why we say that it is schema on read in the data lake. One, we are storing different types of data, that is structured, unstructured and semi-structured. And second, we are storing raw data. Getting it? So whenever you say ki, what kind of ecosystem does data lake follow, then it follows schema on read process architecture to store the data. You are getting it? Because schema on write mein kya hota hai? We are restricting ourselves, right? We are not storing raw data in schema on write. But in data lake, we are storing raw data. Getting it? So data lake stores less data structure to store the data. And because we are not, looking too much at the structure, obviously we have to use schema on read. Okay? Now, because it is schema on read, when is the schema applied? Whenever I am reading the raw data, I will apply schema on read. So data lake allows us to transform the raw data into a structured formatted data. You are getting it? How is the data stored? In raw format. But when you are trying to retrieve it, you will obviously apply some structure on it. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, because you are talking about huge amount of data, we are talking about a very good volume of data. Many of the times when I am talking of data lake, the data is stored in a distributed manner. Okay? Distributed manner means what? Instead of relying on a single machine, we are storing the data on multiple machines. Okay? Another important point is, from where does data come into the data lake? It comes from different sources. It comes from different sources. You're getting it? If you read this point, the point which I'm just highlighting right now, if you just read this point, you will understand that just as in real life lake or real life river, the water comes in from different places. Either it comes in from small rivers, and then you have a big lake or a big river which has a very large amount of water, which is used by anyone who needs water. So data lake में भी वैसा ही होता है कि the data is coming from multiple places, and anyone who needs data comes to the data lake and takes what that person needs. Nowadays, you have to understand this, that if two users are coming to data lake, their requirements may not be same. So user 1 will take some data and user 2 will take some other data. You're getting it? So when I say that the data lake does not rely on a single view, that is the meaning of it. कि data lake has raw data. जिसको जो चाहिए, जिसको जैसा data चाहिए, वो वैसा data आके data lake से retrieve कर सकता है. Everyone with me? Okay. Now, it is a low cost and effective way to store large amount of data into a centralized database for further organizational analysis and deployment. So depending on the needs, whatever I want, I can go to data lake and I can retrieve the data from it, and I can use the data to to the best possible way that I want. Understood? Now I come to something that is called as data vault. Anyone has any doubt in the concept of data lake, please let me know now. Schema on read, schema on write, these must be the terms that you have heard for the first time today, right? If you have any doubt, if you have not understood, please let me know. I am ready to explain it again. Everyone very much comfortable?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, good. Now we will go ahead to the next topic that we have is of data vault. Okay. Data vault is a database modeling method which is designed to store long-term historical storage amount of data, and it can be controlled by using data vault. So basically, I want to store a good amount of historical data. I hope everyone knows what is the meaning of historical data, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, very good. So I'll not explain it again. Okay. Now, in the data vault also, the data comes from multiple places. The data comes from multiple places. It does not come from a single place. Okay. But data vault has a separate kind of structure. Data vault has a separate kind of structure. What kind of structure does a data vault have? Data vault has three main components. What are the three main components of your data vault? One is hub, H-U-B, hub. The second one is link, L-I-N-K, and the third one is satellite. Okay. Now, data vault में data कहाँ से आता है? There must be something from where the data is coming to the data vault. The data is coming to the data vault from data lake. Okay. Now, another question that I have is, does data vault have a structure?
Same as data lake, structured, non-structured, and list.
Data vault is based on the concept of schema on write. Data vault is based on the concept of schema on write. So you take the data that you require from data lake and you put it into the data vault. Okay. Now let us understand the three main concepts of data vault. What are the three main concepts of data vault? One is hub, another one is link, and the third one is satellite. Okay. What is hub? Hub has unique business keys with low amount of data to be changed. So the data that I store in hubs, they don't change frequently. Okay. Now hubs contain a surrogate key for each metadata information. Now what do you mean by metadata? Metadata is data about data. Metadata is data about data. So hub may actually only main business key is stored, and any extra information that is related to that business key is stored separately. Okay. Now hubs are created in such a way that they will not change frequently. Okay, hubs are created in such a way that they will not change frequently. Abhi, this is about hub, right? What is a link? Whenever I am trying to connect two business keys, whenever I am trying to show the transaction or the association of the business keys, I am doing that using a link. Okay. I am doing that using a link. Now whenever I am talking about a relationship, the relationship can be one-to-one, many-to-many, one-to-many, or many-to-one. Getting the things? And now finally, in the end, what I have is the concept of satellites. Now, whenever we are thinking of hubs or whenever we are thinking of links, there is no chronological data that is stored. So, any characteristic information that I want to store, okay, any detailed information that I want to store related to my hubs or related to my links, these information is stored in a satellite. So, all the detailed information that is related to a hub or related to a link is stored in a satellite. So as you can see, if I want to connect two hubs, I have a link, and any extra information about link or hub that I want to store, it goes in the satellite. Very clear on this? Now let us come back to the examples. Okay. If you carefully observe these following points, you will see that different types of hubs are enlisted over here. So you have a person hub, you have a time hub, you have an object hub, you have an event hub, and you have a locations hub. Okay. Now, if you see all the explanation that is given henceforth, you will see that two things are explained. One is what data that hub will contain. So if I take time hub, it contains an ID, it contains an ID time number, it contains a zone base key, it contains a date time key, it contains date time value. Okay. And now, what are the links that are available with the time hub? Time hub can be connected to a person hub. Time hub can be connected to an object hub. Time hub can be connected to an event hub. Time hub can be connected to your location hub, etc. Are you understanding? Similarly, what does a person contain? Person hub contain? What does an object hub contain? What does an event hub contain? I just want you to just scan through what every hub contains. Can you do that for me, guys? Can you just scan through it rather than me reading it? Okay, because even if I read it, I will be reading the same things. Ki what does time hub contain? What does object hub contain? So one example I have explained it to you. So just go through other examples. Aniket, I have read your question. I'll answer it. Just let me finish this off first. Okay, I'll answer your question. I've read your question. Okay. Let me know once you are done with it. Done? Everyone done? Okay. Now, you have to understand one thing. Even though your data vault is having some kind of structure, it is not necessary that you will store only structured data into it. Whatever data you are storing, it should fit into this structure. The data can be semi-structured also and data can be unstructured also. But वो hub, satellite and links के इसमें fit होना चाहिए. Hub is not an repository of metadata. No. Hub has a link to the metadata. जो main data है, जो आपके business keys है, जो change नहीं होने वाला है, वो hub में store होगा. And जो supporting metadata है, वो satellite में store होगा. Are you understanding? Yes. Now, whenever we are working in data science, we will be using lots of tools, lots of frameworks, lots of libraries. Okay? So, what we are going to study next is it is some kind of introduction to the frameworks, the tools and the libraries that we will be using. Okay, now some of these libraries, some of these tools are very new for you. You may not have heard about it. Okay, you may not have heard its name, you may not have heard, they'll be completely new for you. But some of them are, some of them are the topics that you are completely aware about. Okay, just give me a minute. I think so my system has hanged. It's, yeah. So I'll obviously be explaining you all this. I'm not just skipping this part, so don't worry about it. I just want to show you the things that, you may have used first. So, have you guys worked with R?
Yes, ma'am. Final year R Studio.
Yes. So everyone knows that R is a programming language that is used for statistical computing and graphics purpose. It is used by data scientists to perform data analytics. There are, very famous packages in R which allow you to do lots of things. जैसे कुछ plot करना है, तो then you have ggplot, you have SQL DF, you have forecast, you have dplyr, you have stringer, etc. So R is a language that is freely available. It comes with general public license and it is supported by multiple platforms like Windows, Linux, Unix, Macs. So not only that, you can use R and you can integrate it with procedural languages like C, C++. Another thing that R helps you with is, it can handle data. It has a good amount of support for data structure, as well as it will allow you to store data. Correct? So R is something that you have already used. Okay, I winded it up so fast because that is something that is known to you. Okay, that's the reason I did not go in depth. Similarly, when we talk of another language is Scala. Have you heard about this language?
Yes, ma'am. I heard, but don't know deeply.
Yes, you may not have used it, right? Yeah. So Scala is again a language, it is a language that supports functional programming, and it has a strong type system. So it works very good with data. It has good support for data. Scala can be written in Java, C++ and Python language. It supports functions. It supports objects. And what happens, is कि once you write a Scala code, you compile it, you execute it, and you get a bytecode out of it. It can run on any machine which has JVM on it. Okay, and because Scala supports JVM, you can easily move from Java to Scala. You're getting it?
Yes, ma'am.
Should I speak about this fourth language, that is Python? You had it as a subject at your undergraduate level, most probably. A very well-known programming language, a very good library support. You can work with databases, you can create and modify data, you can work with visualization, you can plot different things. It supports functional approach as well as it supports object-oriented approach. Many complicated tasks can be easily performed using Python. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I first covered these things because it was something that was, that was known to you. Let us go ahead and see the things which you may not be aware about. Are you aware about all this? Graphics, Eka, Spark,
No, ma'am.
Are you aware about this?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay. ठीक है. We will cover them.
Ma'am,
Okay.
excuse me.
Yes.
Ma'am, can you explain figure number 1.2 hub satellite link, the diagram?
This one.
Yes, ma'am. Firstly, this showing hub and satellite, then hub link, then again hub, then link hub. Can you explain?
Yes, I can explain it to you. Okay. See, you have to understand that what hub will store, what link will store, and what satellite will store. Hub will store your business keys. What are business keys? The data that is not going to change. Okay? अभी दो hubs के बीच का जो relationship होता है वो जो स्टोर होता है वो लिंक में स्टोर होता है. अभी हब हो या लिंक हो, it will not store any chronological information or it will not store any details. But details तो आपको चाहिए. So someone has to take care of details. So who is taking care of details over here? Satellite is taking care of details. Did you understand these basic terms very clearly? Only then I'll go ahead.
Understood.
Clear.
Understood? Okay, good. Now, let us say that, okay, let us say that I have a customer hub. What do I have?
Customer.
A customer hub. You're getting it? And I have a product hub. Now customer के details होते हैं, product के details होते हैं. Let's say all the details which are there, they are stored in satellites. Now do you think that customer is going to buy the product?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So when a customer is buying a product, a link is created between two hubs.
Yes.
What is the link that is created between two hubs? Which two hubs the link is created between? Customer and product.
Product. Yes.
And what is that? Is it another hub or it is a link? It is a link, no? Yes or no?
It is a link, ma'am.
It is a link. Are you understanding? I've given you a very basic example to help you understand what is a hub, what is a link, and what is a satellite. Getting it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Still anyone has any doubt? किसने doubt पूछा था ये? Is your doubt clear? The person who had asked the doubt?
Yes, ma'am. Revan, ma'am. Understood.
Yeah, understood now? Yeah. ठीक. I can go ahead with this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the framework that we have is Apache Spark. Now, why do I say that it is a framework? Because Apache Spark is not a single tool or a single language or a single component. No. It is made up of multiple components. As you can see in this diagram, you have Apache Spark Core API, which supports so many languages. And in Apache Spark ecosystem, you have so many different components. You have SparkR, you have graphics, you have MLlib, you have Spark streaming, you have Spark SQL. Okay, I'm not explaining them to you right here in the diagram because I'm going to explain it to you later on anyhow. Okay. So basically that's the reason, because Spark has so many things, we call that Spark is a framework. Okay. Now it is an open source framework which is available to us. Open source means that it is freely available on internet and you don't have to pay anything for it. So Apache Spark was basically developed at AMP lab of University of California, and after that it was donated to Apache Software Foundation. So right now Apache Software Foundation manages Apache Spark. It keeps on making changes to it. It keeps on making it, it keeps on keeping it up to date. Now Apache Spark provides an interface for the programmer and the developer to directly interact with the system and make data parallel and compatible with data scientists and data engineers. So basically this framework is going to help us work with the data. And if you can see over here, it is a cluster computing framework. When I say it is a cluster computing framework, it is a framework which is not standalone. Okay, it is not a standalone framework. I hope you are getting it. You can work in a distributed manner. You can perform parallel processing. So basically जो requirement होता है ना एक data scientist का कि बहुत बड़े data के साथ काम करना है उसको. So Apache Spark framework will support that requirement. Okay, it has capabilities and potential to process different types of data. It supports something which is called as Hadoop distributed file system. Have you heard about Hadoop any time before?
No, ma'am.
No, you haven't heard anything about Hadoop? Sorry, I did not get you. Can you repeat, please?
Not me, ma'am.
It is used in cloud computing.
Yes, Hadoop is something that is used with cloud. Yes.
Same like AWS servers or EC2s that provided by its
Yes.
for
Yes.
different operating storage.
Yes, absolutely correct. Hadoop has two very famous things that we often use in data science. That is Hadoop distributed file system. So basically, the idea of distributed file system is that instead of storing the data on a single machine, we distribute the data on multiple machines. Another important thing that distributed architecture में जो होता है कि the data is replicated. So when the data is replicated, what happens is even if one location is compromised, the data is still available in another location. You guys are getting what I'm trying to tell you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So Hadoop का ना खुद का एक फाइल सिस्टम है जिसको हम लोग कहते हैं HDFS, Hadoop Distributed File System. And Hadoop also has its own algorithm which is called as MapReduce algorithm. So MapReduce algorithm ये ऐसा algorithm है which allows you to parallelly process a huge amount of data. Okay, I'll show you the working of MapReduce algorithm in one of the lectures, but as of now I'm just introducing MapReduce algorithm to you कि ऐसा algorithm होता है. Obviously पहले mapping of data होता है, फिर उसका then the reduce phase comes. So what happens in the map phase, what happens in the reduce phase, everything I'll be explaining to you, but not today. Maybe in the next lecture or the lecture after that. Okay, I think so you have got some idea. Yes, names याद रखो. Slowly and steadily as we go ahead with our syllabus, आपको terms और ज़्यादा clear होते जाएंगे. Okay, yeah. Are you aware about NoSQL database?
Yes, ma'am.
So Apache Spark supports these kind of databases also. Okay. Now we come to the next point that we have is Spark core. Now as you see, the Spark core is at the base of the Spark architecture. So whatever basic functioning that is done, whether it is distributing the tasks, it is scheduling, it is dispatching, handling basic input-output functionalities, it provides a basic foundation for your entire project development. Okay, so it is a way wherein it reduces some of your workload. Now Spark Core does not tell you that you should work only with one single language. It allows you to work with a different set of languages. Which set of languages? Something that you have already seen over here are Python, Scala, etc. Okay. Now, apart from Spark Core, what all things do I have? Just give me 1 minute. Yeah, just hold on a minute. The first thing that we have is Spark SQL. Now Spark SQL is a component that is developed on top of Spark Core. Obviously, the moment you see SQL, what comes to your mind?
Structured data. Structured data.
No, it's a query language, right? Structured data is correct, but basically SQL जब आप सोचते हो तो सबसे पहले ये आना चाहिए कि it's a query language. Correct? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So, the way in which Spark SQL deals with your data is via a data abstraction which is called as data frames. So instead of considering tables, we are going to consider data frames. Okay. Now, why this data abstraction is there? This data abstraction is there so that even though your data is stored in the cluster, the data manipulation or the data processing can be done in a fast manner. Okay. Now it allows the users to run SQL or HQL on top of Spark. By suiting this, we can process all the data. So again, what you said, SQL is something that is structured, correct? Now your point is correct over here. But does Spark SQL say that you can work only with structured data? The answer is no. Spark SQL says that you can work with structured data also, you can work with unstructured data also, and you can work with semi-structured data also. You're getting it?
Yes.
Okay. Abhi, are you aware about something called as Apache Hive? No. You must have seen SQL/HQL over there, correct? What is that HQL? It is Hive query language. Okay. जैसे Apache Spark है, similarly we have Apache Hive. None of you is aware about Apache Hive?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Apache Hive is basically, again used to store data and process the data, and you can use both of them in some sort of relation. You're getting it? I am not comparing Hive and Spark over here, because then if I start explaining you Hive in detail and Hive ka architecture and all that, it will consume a lot of time and we will sidetrack from our syllabus. So एकदम end में अगर हमारे पास time बचता है, then I'll throw light on all these technologies. Otherwise, I'm just telling you the names of them and you can explore them. Okay. Now Apache Hive and Apache Spark, are they completely different from each other? Not completely different. There is some sort of overlap between them, and they are two things that are yes, they are different from each other, but not completely. And what you can say, that they are in the same boat. They are in the same boat. Are you getting what I'm trying to tell you?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I have one question. These softwares,
Yes.
they use like a data scientist, data engineer.
Yes, data engineers or data scientists, they will be using these softwares. So if you are if you are going ahead and you are going to work as a data scientist or a data engineer, you will be working on these technologies. Now, as I already told you, Apache Spark में जो Spark SQL है, it does not restrict you to work only with structured data. It allows you to work with semi-structured data also, and this is the point where it overcomes the limitation of Apache Hive. Another thing that I have already pinpointed to you is MapReduce engine for Hadoop execution. So it depends on this particular MapReduce engine. Okay. Apache Spark performs better operation than Hive in many situations. So whether it is in terms of using CPU, using CPU properly, or dealing with latency, the performance of Spark is better as compared to Hive. Okay. What do you mean by RDD model? Anyone knows about it? No one? It is resilient distributed data set, and it is a basic data structure of Spark. I repeat, it is resilient distributed data set. Okay. It represents partitioned collection of data. So your data is partitioned. It is stored in multiple places. Okay. And why is it stored in multiple places? I already explained it to you, because we are following a distributed architecture. We are following which architecture? Distributed architecture. Okay. And it allows you to support large jobs, as well as it allows you middle query fault tolerance. Because what happens कि एक machine बंद भी हो जाता है, तो भी there is a second machine which can always take over. Am I very clear with this? Now I think so JDBC and ODBC everyone knows. You must have studied this in Java, am I right? Yes or no? These are the frameworks that allow you to connect. So programming language and your database can easily be connected using these frameworks. So to connect Spark SQL with JDBC and ODBC is easily possible. Any doubt in today's lecture?
Can JDBC and ODBC in short name?
JDBC is basically Java database connectivity. What happens is, when you are connecting a data store with a programming language, you need to use drivers. So there are different types of drivers and there are different types of architectures which allow you to do that. So JDBC, as I told you, is Java database connectivity. ODBC is open database connectivity. You're getting it? So both of these, they are interfaces which allow you to connect your database to your programming languages. You have different steps of connection. You load the driver, you establish up connection string generate karte ho. You must have ASP.NET वगैरह अगर use किया है तो then you generate a connection string, right? And then you provide that connection string. अगर JDBC use किया है, then you must have used something called as Java : MySQL : something, and then you are writing the name of the database. You are giving root as your password and username. Correct?
Yes.
So I'm pinpointing to those steps when I talk about JDBC and ODBC. Getting it?
Yes.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
About SQL and SQL. Is there any bigger difference which makes them used on different domains?
No, I did not hear the two main terms that you said.
SQL and HQL.
Yes, they are
Do they
there.
have
Where...
a major difference which makes
Yes.
them used on different domains?
Yes. What kind of queries you can write and what kind of data you can query, इसमें ही difference है. So when you are using a Hive data structure, Hive database जो Apache का है, उसको query करने के लिए आप HQL यूज करते हो, Hive query language. अभी अगर आपने HQL नेट पे सर्च किया ना, तो HQL का सेकेंड फुल फॉर्म भी आपको मिलेगा जो है Hibernate query language. Hibernate is a persistent standard that we are using in Java. It is an ORM tool. तो वो अलग है, तो कंफ्यूज मत होना. Hibernate अलग है, Hive अलग है. Okay? When I say HQL over here, I mean Hive query language. And Hive का concept कहाँ से आता है? तो Apache Hive से आता है. You're getting what I'm trying to tell you? Yes, SQL is different. HQL is different.
HQL is only limited to Apache Hive only.
Yes. And any framework that supports Apache Hive will support HQL also.
Okay. Thank you.
Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I will just stop the screen sharing now. I'm not starting Spark streaming today because I'll take at least 5-10 minutes to explain you what is live streaming of data, and then I'll explain you what happens in Spark streaming. So let us take it up next time. Okay, next time we will finish off with this, and then we will start with the next chapter, and we will try and finish off the next chapter as well next time. I hope every one of you is comfortable with the way I'm teaching you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Nikhil, please don't talk about only one thing. I have understood your point. Okay. Yeah, I have got your point. Okay. Other than that, you guys have any doubt?
मैम इंटरनल एग्जामिनेशन में कितने चैप्टर्स हैं?
You will come to know about that slowly. Just wait right now. अभी तो स्टार्ट हुआ है ना सिलेबस, देखते हैं ना तब तक कितना सिलेबस कंप्लीट होता है. ओके.
रिसर्च पेपर एंड जनरल असाइनमेंट डेटा साइंस.
We will tell you about that. Okay, because I am going to deal with theory of data science. Okay. So theory से related doubt है तो पूछ लो. Fine. So just hold on for 2 minutes. Okay. You have to fill the attendance form. I am sharing the link with you. Just hold on for 2 minutes.